Earlier this year, I did a video when everything was dormant, and I walked you through some of the maintenance strategies and some of the pruning that I did in this section of my garden. So now, here we are, it's mid-July of the same year, and so I just wanted to kind of walk you through and kind of show you the results of that and share some of my observations and some of my learnings. So what you might want to do is at some point watch the video from earlier this year, so you can kind of have an additional frame of context for this section. So and I'll put the link up there in the upper right hand corner. So first of all, I mean, all in all, I think that there were some successes, and then also, certainly, as is always the case, some learning. So one of the main things that we did in that video is I went in and I pruned the rows, which if you look back through behind the foliage, I pruned that Rosa Metabilis to what is, I guess I would call it a standard, but basically a single stem, so that it could go up and through that shrub. That's Physocarpus 9 bark. See if I can zoom in on the Rosa Metabilis. There it is in bloom. This is its second bloom. I actually missed filming its first, really most extensive bloom, but that's the pinks in there. But what we're getting now that I think is working in terms of these changes that I made is that the Clematis that are clambering through this whole scene are doing so much better this year. This one in particular, and I'm sorry I don't have the exact name, but it's a pretty standard one. I think it's probably Jackmanii or something like that. Since it has a little bit more room and I took more care in actually training it up, I'm getting better performance out of it. The other thing, and this isn't going to look that impressive, but the other thing that happened is I love this little Clematis, and I'm going to see if I can get the, it's called Gravetie Beauty, and it's just been a bugger for me. I mean, it really doesn't perform very well, but I just love the color and I want it to do better. And some years, and frankly, at some point I'm going to take it out, but it really kind of talks me into keeping it one more year when I see like maybe I can figure out how to get it in a position where it'll actually flower for me. But that's not very many flowers for this part of that is that vine. And yes, I do have some buds that are still, I don't know if you can see those, but I do have some buds that are still going to open up, but it's not very generous. The other thing that happened is that, all the other supporting plants down here on the bottom, they're just not being as engulfed by that rose. She's a big, big grower, and so I removed all of her lower, the lower part of the plant, so that allowed these plants to kind of come in. That's Sedum Blue Pearl. I'm really happy with it, and I'm happy with its color. This conifer has proven to be really excellent, and this grass has usually gotten engulfed by the garden around it, so this year it's actually doing something for me. That's a Molinia, caerulea, subspecies caerulea Variegata. That Pittosporum we looked at in the last video, doing its thing, doing the same thing that it does year-round. It's an evergreen shrub. It's one of the anchors of this bed in the way that, that little yellow bun is. And some of the Helleborus. The Physocarpus, the 9-bark, earlier in the year had ivory blooms, which are great. But I think one of the things I like most about this plant is the way that its seed heads develop. I think that's pretty cool. But it's a big, big plant. And when I think ahead and I think forward about what I'll do in this part of my garden, I'm still going to work on it, as that's the way it is with gardens, right? So I think that there's some things that I think are working well, and I think that I'm still going to be, I'm torn on whether that Physocarpus is the right plant for the space. It takes up so much room, and I prune a lot on it, and so that's kind of one of my dilemmas. But let me just show you a little bit more of this border, just because there's some really fun stuff. That's a lily. It's super fragrant. I wish you could smell it. Wish we had smell-o-vision. Got some daylilies in here. And so here I'm kind of backing off. This is the view of that garden from the, you know, kind of the other side, approaching it. And anyways, I thought it would be helpful, and I thought you might appreciate seeing this section of the garden after it had had a chance to grow in. And in here where you kind of might be seeing that blank spot, it's not really blank. Those are just newer plants that are kind of still getting their legs on, if you will. It's going to be gorgeous. We've got a pretty small growing hydrangea that speaks beautifully to this fuchsia. Ooh, I don't know if I can get in there. Fuchsia. That's Fuchsiade 88. It's a favorite. I love the coloring. And then it's here with a Eucomis, little evergreen shrub, and those frothy bits in the front are the remaining blooms from the heucheras that are there. And later in the fall, this is a pennisetum. It's going to start blooming here shortly, and in the late season, believe it or not, it'll be the star of the show. So I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough, and until next time.